So if we're to answer the myth or fact thing per se, there's no straight answer, is there? Someone who says the fact that I'm very possessive.
What was the myth of fact?
There's someone who says I'm very, very possessive over you, and the reason I'm possessive to this extent is because I love you so much, and that's why I'm that possessive.
Okay. When they say very, very possessive, qualifying it like that will mean that it may be the type that gives concern. Okay, so until we have an actual case.
Yes.
Once you have an actual case, we might not be able to interpret it, but...
So that's why I said there's no straight answer, per se.
Exactly.
On this particular instance. Okay, let's give it context now. The man who had... went into a fit of rage because his wife collected a gift. I had some listeners call in and weigh in on it, because I now put it forward and said, okay, if you are a man and you're married to a woman, or a woman married to a man, how would you feel about your significant other receiving gifts from people? And someone tried to put it in context. I had someone who said, I won't allow it to. Me as a man, we're naturally jealous. I'd rather that my wife does not collect any gift. And then I asked him, I said, okay, what about you? Would you collect gifts from other women? And he says, well, he will collect it, then he will go and report it to his wife and say, see, this is what I got. And
if she collect it and come and report it to you.
Well, there is that. Or he said he will call her and say, see, this person is giving me this, should I collect it? And then I had someone else call and give it some context and say, if it's, for example, the kind of friendship that that can be considered a friend, the person that can be considered a friend of the family, then gift giving is open. There's perhaps, if I were to read what he was going with that, is that somebody who is a friend to not just the wife or a friend to not just the husband will perhaps be careful about the kind of gifts that they give. I think there's some level of control in there. If perhaps the person is a family friend, but if there was any romantic notion, because that anything that you give, madam will see it or guy will see it, then it makes it kind of safer. And it also helps the person to check themselves. Because there are instances where family friends, what's that thing they say about betrayal? They say it's the ones inside that do you the most hurt, right? But if the friendship is not kept away from the significant other, then, gifts that are accepted will be open to, will be easily, scrutinized, open to reception and all of that, if I'm getting what Ben said correctly. So in this instance, though, first of all, answer me as a man. Would you allow your wife to receive gifts, or is it something that will bring about conflict in your relationship, just like this story that I shared?
For me, I don't have a problem with my wife receiving gifts from anywhere. She can receive gifts from anybody, any day. It doesn't do anything to me.
Wait, let's qualify it. Any gift on any day?
I said she can receive any gift that is beneficial to all of us as human beings and as a family.
Can she receive lingerie?
She won't even receive it. She has sense. She knows what to collect and what not to collect.
Can she receive a car? Can she receive a car, for instance?
Of course. Why not?
Okay.
You know what? See, I trust my wife's judgment. If the gift does not make sense, she won't collect it.
Okay.
If it has any undertone, she'll collect it. But it's not the kind of thing that would cause any kind of rift between us.
Okay.
Wisdom is profitable to direct. Do you understand? So who is the gift coming from? There are people who will give you gifts that you should not take. No matter what the gift is.
No matter what, even if it's a pen.
If no matter what the gift is, if you know that there are going to be some kind of undertones to it that you don't want to encourage or identify with, you would reject a gift. If you work in an organization and somebody who is a person of interest to the government or to the anti-corruption agency comes and offers you a gift, even if it is 1,000 naira, you won't collect it. Because when you collect it, you get named alongside. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Wisdom, like I said, should direct you, both the giver of the gift and the receiver. So let's say the giver does not have the wisdom. you that is the receiver, at least
have sense.
Show some discretion. Do you understand? Have sense, basically, right? So a man is giving you a gift on Valentine's Day. Why did he choose Valentine's Day to give you a gift as a married woman?
Because in their office, in their office, they do exchange of gifts. You've seen that happen now,
is
Coach
it an
M.
office thing?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yes.
It could have been.
We've done stuff like that in the office way back.
Okay.
Where we got ourselves into groups and then got gifts and did all of those kind of things. And if it's within an organization, that should not be a threat to anybody now. There's context to it. And it's a healthy context.
Okay.
Do you understand? But if it's a friend that the husband is not aware of, and then chooses of all day, and Valentine's Day is not also her birthday, so that we'll not say it's birthday gift, but chooses Valentine's Day of all day to present this kind of gift. And I don't know what the gift is.
That's the thing. We didn't get information. All we got was the man's reaction. Flew off the handle. Perhaps some more context will have helped us understand, because he finished with Madame and entered Madame's mother.
Do you understand? Definitely, some more context will help us. And then the lady, depending on what kind of gift it is, and knowing the kind of husband you have, again, wisdom should direct you to tell you what to receive and what not to receive.
Okay.
Don't tell me that she's just finding out that the husband can get angry like this. She's not just finding out. She knows the man she has in the house. All right? So... and then there are many circumstances to it that we are not even really aware of. We don't have the details, right? So I'm just saying that wisdom should guide people. While I'm saying that I don't have a challenge with my wife receiving gifts, right? I also said that my wife is wise enough to know what to receive and what not to receive, and when to receive and when not to receive.
Okay.
Right? And then the kind of partner you have. Don't give room for anything that will breed suspicion or insecurity. So that wisdom again is a principal
direct. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Let me just take somebody's thoughts on this. He says on the saying, just as possessive I am with you, just shows you that I love you the more. He says it's a myth. I see that kind of situation as obsession and not love, and it's a serious weakness. I don't see a big deal in someone gifting my partner a gift. Love is not control. It's not insecurity. Love protects, but allows the partner to be themselves. Love isn't unhealthily possessive. This is because love doesn't insist on its own. Emmanuel Essen from Jahi, thank you for that message. Okay.
Yes, he has nailed it. He has nailed it perfectly.
He has, hasn't he? Okay.
Nailed it perfectly.
All right, Coach. I have a break in 2 minutes. So do you want to do like a quick intro to, or rather a quick recap of where we were last week, and then we'll take it from there after the break? Or should we take a call or two?
Okay, let's take the call.
Okay. All right. I saw you calling in just now. Now is the time to call back. In the meantime, another message. Whether family, friend or not, do not take gifts from a man that is not your husband or brother. No man becomes friends with a woman that is not his wife. At the end, everything could end up in the bedroom. Allah with that thought. Okay. Let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Those are unhealthy.
Hello, good evening, ma. How is work?
Fine, thank you. Welcome. We're on a call, Coach M.
This is Bishop. I'm calling from Airport Road in Abuja.
Go ahead, Bishop. You have about a minute.
Okay, based on what we are talking about, when you come to man and woman in the exchange of gifts, it's supposed to be something that one should be very careful with. Women think with their heart, while men think with their head. There is a kind of gift we give a married woman, and that woman will begin to think about that man. And when you think of married men, you can see a married man who have up to 3 side or 4 side chicks, but this married man still love his family and his wife. But
that's a myth. I put it to you so that is a myth, but go ahead.
Okay. But immediately, a mind or a heart of a woman is divided in a family. That family starts having problems. So gift to me, no matter for whatever celebration, is very dangerous given to a married woman.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you. We need to go on that break very quickly. When we come back, the conversation continues.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria
Mayzy. We are talking. As a matter of fact, we're supposed to be talking about conflict resolution. You know, we started by identifying causes of conflict last week, but somehow our myth versus fact segment and the story that I shared earlier just has us going on this other divide. But guess what? We are not completely off track. As a matter of fact, Coach M would be getting into how to resolve conflict using the story that we shared as an example. What we are not going to do is continue the conversation on myth or fact, because that one will take us off completely. Yes, because even just from some of the responses that I'm getting, the last caller wanted to take me on a whole other conversation when he said women are this and men are that. As a matter of fact, Coach M and I had tried to dispel that on one of the myth or fact segments that we had, and he tried to explain it, but apparently some of us are still stuck in our ways. And hey, God will help us to understand what really and truly is, so that we can make the right decisions. No, sir. Let me just say it again for record, and then we move. A man that has 2 or 3 side chicks cannot possibly still be said to love his wife. That thing that he has for his wife, it may be respect, it might be fear, but I promise you it's not love. Because Coach and I have also talked about what love is and what it isn't. But let's get Coach back on. Welcome, boss.
You know, it's not even respect.
It's not even respect, at all. You know, because some of them say, because as long as I don't bring it home. And then some of them, the word that they use is, as long as I'm taking care of all your needs. So I don't know. But let's leave that one so that we will not enter another conversation. Okay. So last week we started by identifying causes of conflict. I dare say something like the story that we heard today is an example of conflict in a relationship. So let's talk resolution with Coach M. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. You want to go to Nigeria Info Abuja on Facebook and YouTube so that you can jump in on the conversation. I'm already seeing comments and Jafaru Hussein, he says, Somi, I and my wife are watching you live from Suleja. Thank you, Jafaru Hussein, for that. Joseph Daniel also with a hello there. Let's get Coach M. All right, Coach, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so there was a part in that story you shared where you said the man got really brutal physically with his wife, and then when the wife's mother tried to intervene and pacify him, he also took it out on her. I mean, that's very regrettable, because it's the fact that was the approach he could have to a provocation shows that is the kind of person that he is, and that is the quality he has on the inside. All right. I always say, and you may have come across this severally, when we say that when put under pressure, what comes out of you is what is in there. All right. You don't put the responsibility for your action on what somebody did to you, because it's possible that that same thing was done to you and you responded in a completely different way, right? So instead of getting physical or having those fits of rage and outbursts of rage when provoked with your partner, it's important that people learn the value and the skill of communication even when there is conflict. All right. There's a lot of background I'd like to dig to get into, in establishing my point, but we don't have that time. I'll just try to do it all the same. So, first of all, what is the inclination of your heart towards your partner? We're talking about someone you say you want to marry or you are married to. Someone who is supposedly the most important being in your life, right? What is the inclination of your heart towards them as it has to do with peace and conflict resolution? Do you feel like until you deal with this person, you have not resolved the issue? In that case, are you really resolving the issue, or are you just taking out your anger or vengeance on that person? All right. And I'm saying that because if what is in your heart is to seek peace or to seek understanding or to seek clarity, then you would know that there are several other ways you can seek those answers without violence, without losing control, without losing your temper, without getting physically abusive, right? If you really want to understand, my wife, why did you go and collect gift from this man? Are you telling me the only way to find that out is to hit her or to yell at her or to scream at her and beat her and send her out of the house? Is that the only way to get the answers you want? Do you get it? So it's important that people understand.
Okay.
You know, it's important that people understand basically that.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Network glitch there, but Coach Mayzy trying to make a point about how we can go about resolving conflict. Clearly, from the story that was shared earlier on, yes, it's possible that, there was some undertone to the sort of gifts that this wife may have received, on the one hand, right? Secondly, it's possible that, he was irked by the fact that it was a special day. Perhaps he didn't even have the money to get her a gift. And all of a sudden, she's coming home with a gift from another man. What? Let's be honest. In instances like that, men will definitely lose it's one of two things. It's either they're losing their cool or they're losing their self-esteem. I'm just saying, trying to provide some context to the things that may have made this man, be provoked the way that he was, right? Assuming, this is me hypothetically speaking, right? So it's possible, so it's possible that, he didn't have money to get her a gift and he was feeling bad because she came home with a gift from another man. That would definitely set anybody up, man or woman. Me as a woman, I will feel very, very bad, right? So to some extent, let us say that there are valid reasons for his provocation. And I heard you say, Coach, that in instances like that, the best thing to do would be resolving to communicating your ire or your anger with your partner. But can we really and truly say that in those moments we are given to those sorts of calm responses? Like if we were to resolve the conflict in this instance now, let us say with the examples that I gave you as reasons for why this man will have gotten so angry. Of course, nothing is good enough to justify him accusing her the way he did. There's getting angry. And everyone is allowed to get angry. Even Jesus, our Lord and Savior, got angry, right? But there's what you do with your anger. I guess in this instance, that's the problem here. And so there are times when your significant other would definitely make you want to punch through the roof. And in that instance, you'd be feeling like you're Superman or something. But how does one really and truly settle down to resolve in these kinds of instances? I'll give you another example. We know of the popular story of Annie and Two-Face Idibia. We know that their marriage was... it was a marriage. Two-Face having his own history, Annie having her own history and the likes. And it's possible that the nature of the person that she married would push her to places where she'll be like, look, after all these years that I've spent, after everything that I've given, why would you still do this? Why would you still do that? So everyone is within their right to get angry. If the stories that we're hearing are true, of which they're not necessarily public nature, and that's why I don't want to get into it. I've not really gotten into that story. But there are conversations about what she did in her anger. And so sometimes our significant others will push us to the wall. If we were really and truly looking to resolve conflict, Coach, how should we go about it? I hear you say communication, but in that time of hungry and hunger, are you sure communication will be effective?
So that's why I asked the question, what exactly do you want? Do you want to solve problem or do you want to scatter everywhere? Let's know what we are solving. Do you understand?
I have another example here. I have another example here from a listener.
Did I say you should not be angry?
I have another example here from a listener. Maybe you can help us with this one. You say your guest is speaking plenty to Renchi. If you catch your wife in bed with another man, it's easy to say what you are saying. But when you're not in that man's shoes, perhaps he should pass the cheating wife on the back and just ask her why she did it. We should just pray we don't find ourselves in such situation.
So you see, let's talk to context though.
Okay.
I'm a professional. I don't speculate. I don't assume. Give me raw details. Let me work with it. If you don't have it, I will speak generally.
Okay.
Do you understand?
We've given some instances now. So speak to each of those.
Give a second instance?
No. We've given some. So there's the story with this man, whose wife collected something. I've also given you an instance of one of the celebrity couples that we know. So there are instances. Generally, what we're saying with these examples is that there are instances that can push somebody over the wall. How do we resolve when it gets to that point where the person has literally been pushed over the wall?
Back to my question.
Mm-hmm.
Back to my question.
Okay.
And people should listen. Don't listen to hear what you're looking for. Unless this is not street talk. So my question, listen to it.
Yep.
Yes, your partner has done something you don't like. It's taking you to the edge. Yes. I'm not saying you should not be angry. Yes, I know you should be angry. You would get angry. I'm a married man, so I know what it is, right? But my question is, what are you really trying to achieve? Do you understand me? Mm-hmm. If what is at the back of your mind is to seek an understanding or clarification on what happened or what is going on, your approach will be different. But if what is mostly on your mind is to inflict pain and judgment on your partner, then the approach will definitely be different. Do you get it? If you are saying that, and these things I'm saying are case specific, because you won't tell me that a man who meets his wife cheating on him with another person, will say, my darling, is that what you are doing? Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Even the Bible says, it says, for jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he will not accept any compensation, no matter how high it is. Right? So I'm saying that there are valid cases where one is really disappointed, and really wants to met out judgment. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about conflict resolution, let's bring it back to the topic. Conflict resolution. The question is, do you want to resolve or do you want to scatter the place? Let's understand first. If you want to resolve conflict, then there is a way to go about resolving conflict. Right? And that is what we should speak to.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard with some of these instances, but I hear you.
If we are saying that not all conflicts should be resolved, then no problem. Do exactly what you want. But if the purpose of this conversation tonight with Coach Mayzy is on how to resolve conflict, then let us talk about how to resolve conflict, not how to escalate it. All right? Because one fundamental thing people need to understand is that you are in control of your emotions. You are in control. You own your emotions. They don't own you. You are a human, right? You are the one with the sense, with the will, with the sense of coordination, right? Your emotions are just chemicals, biochemicals, and neurotransmitters in your body that respond to stimuli. So it's you that will say, hey, calm down, or don't calm down, right? But people behave as though their emotions drive them. Their emotions are their leaders. It's the same thing they do with love now. You trip for somebody, I say, because I'm in love, I start doing stupid things. You remove sense, right? It's the same thing. Because they have not learned that these emotions can be controlled. They can be told what to do, and they will obey. And that's why we tell people that I always say that your emotions are loyal servants, but terrible leaders. Have I said you should not get angry if your partner offends you? No, I haven't said that. You should be angry because they have violated your values, your principles, whatever it is. But if what is in the back of your mind is, I want to make peace with my partner, then the way to make that peace is by communication, is by talking, is by giving them a chance to also explain themselves.
What if the explanation does not make sense to you?
What do you want? Again, what do you want to achieve? No, there's no way you will push me to this question.
It's possible. It's possible that you want to get to the end of the matter. You want to resolve things, right? Perhaps the difficulty here will be, even in your wanting to resolve things, are you willing and ready to deal with whatever their explanation might be? Because sometimes it would not make sense. In it not making sense, do you still want to continue to the end of the matter to get a resolution? Or does a resolution, perhaps the question we should be asking is, if we're resolving conflict, does it always mean a happy ending?
Of course not.
So I think that was the question we needed to answer. Conflict resolution, if it doesn't always lead to a happy ending, but the point is, your own inner conflict will be de-escalated. It might escalate the other person's inner conflict. I don't know if I'm going off here.
No. See, if not, we haven't resolved it. If my resolution means your escalation, then it's not yet resolved, because we're supposed to be a team. We're partners. Take note, all right? We're married, and then we should be able to be on the same page. So I can't say it is resolved with me, and then I don't care how you feel. If you like, be angry and you calm down later. No. We've not resolved that conflict. Okay. All right? Why are we talking about resolution? Because ultimately, we want to remain committed to this, our partnership. We want it to work. All right? So if my partner does something I don't like, and I'm seeking clarity, and I'm trying to, understand why she did what she did, and she's coming off defensive, there are two things I could possibly do. One is to allow my emotions to have the better of me, and I react to what she's doing. The other thing I could do is to choose my response at that time. And my response could be either of the following. One, I choose to hush the conversation there so that we don't continue, since it's not looking like we're heading to any reasonable conclusion. That's one. Two, I could choose to say, okay, you know what? I take a walk. I just excuse myself from the place at that time so that my anger doesn't keep boiling. All right? But the point is that if what is in my heart is to resolve, then the methods I would be seeking to use are methods that aim towards my goal, which is resolving. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
The problem here is that many people are looking for judgment. Many people are looking to met how they feel on their partner. I'm angry, I'm disappointed, and I want to deal with you for what you have done. You're not looking for conflict resolution. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So I want to be clear that if people are looking for conflict, then they should be looking for the avenues. I mean, if they're looking for conflict resolution, then they should be looking for the avenues that lead to resolution, not the ones that lead to escalation.
Okay. I mean, Coach.
Clear, no?
Yes. I mean, to an extent, and I can't fault you for taking the path that you're taking, because you are the professional. You deal with some of these instances, and at least you've been able to establish two things. One is that you need to ask yourself the question: if you are in any situation that involves conflict within, yourself and your significant other. One thing I hear that we need to establish is, one, what do you want out of this? Do you want to resolve it?
Yeah.
Or are you looking for something else? Ola came in again with the message, going back to the scenario of someone catching his wife sleeping with his husband, and he said, look, when you see that kind of thing, NATO scatter everywhere with sense. So the likes of Ola, for example, in that particular point in time, will not possibly bring themselves to... It's possible that down the line they might want to resolve, but in that moment, he even goes ahead to say they are crimes of passion. I don't subscribe to that. To that one, you better use your sense there, because that crime of passion can land you in prison. But I get that in that moment, it can be difficult to be logical in your reasoning and say, what do I want? So I again, to me, when I hear you say something like that, you talked about a number of actions that one is likely to take. For example, shush the conversation. I would say for people who are given to fits of rage and anger and all of that, an action that you can possibly take just so that you can get to the point of logical reasoning would be to remove yourself from that place. That's leave there. Take a drive, take a walk, go somewhere. It is, I think, is a valid action to take. until you get to the point of logical reasoning where you're able to say, okay, is this something that I want to fight for, or is this something that I want to ensure that judgment is meted out accordingly? Because we are humans. It is either we are in that place or or not, So that's the first thing I heard. And then the second thing I think we've been able to establish is the conversation around what was the second thing now? I'm seeing that my timer is counting down to go on a break. So we might have to come back to the second thing. But I hear what you're saying again.
Another break?
Yeah. We have bills to pay, boss. We need to keep the lights on. Band-Aid is not your mate. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So I hear you, honestly. But I also hear when you say it has to do with context. And guess what? If you're really into this person, if you really love, especially when it comes to married couples, I think a lot of us have given charge of our emotions, have given our emotions charge over us, so much so, and that's why we're having a lot of the failures that we're seeing. But we want to ensure that there's more conflict resolution than conflict scatter. But we'll come back to that after this break. Stay with us.
That liquid gold from the beer worthy of the name, brewed for those who recognize true quality.
Coach M and I still here on the couch, here on Tonight with Somi. Today's conversation, it's God will help us. It's God that will help us. We started last week talking about what can cause conflict in relationships. And here we are, still trying to get past stage 1 on conflict resolution. Because when it comes down to it, is it really that easy? And we've shared a few instances, and Coach Mayzy has been trying to give us his professional opinion on it. And I guess for some of you, it will make sense. For some of you, no matter how long we talk about it, it may not make sense. But the point is this. What do you want out of your relationship with this person? Coach M, I hand the mic back to you.
Place.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I had to set that question because it will set the tone for the rest of your actions. You know, what's your objective? What do you want? If what you want is to resolve it, then let's talk about how to go about resolving. And let me also say here, maybe somewhat disclaimer, that there are severities of offenses. Do you understand? There are some kind of offenses that will require certain other approach. And I will explain what I mean. But what I am speaking to is a basic form of misunderstanding or disagreement between a couple, right? Maybe one is angry at the other, one did something the other is not very happy with, but I'm keeping it at a very basic and general level. Not when it is something that, you know, is outrightly going for your life, or a partner who is bent on destroying you, on you know, making you less of yourself. You know, there are different approaches to those. Because for some of those ones, the way to resolve that problem, for some of them, the way to resolve it is to run away. For some, the way to resolve it is to end that thing that you think is a marriage and go and have a life, right? But I'm speaking to not those kind of severe cases. I'm looking at cases where both of you still have a heart for each other and you ultimately wish to resolve things, all right? Okay. So I'm saying this because of those who start bringing example from the extreme part of this conversation. Leave that example first. Let's focus on two people who are willing to make their marriage work, but are experiencing crisis in their home. All right. So I talked about communication, and by communication, it's not just, you know, communication is a skill. It's not just to open your mouth and produce sounds. It's to know how to moderate what you're saying. Like I tell people, it's one thing to say what you say, but more importantly, how you say it and when you say it will become very key for conflict resolution. All right. Okay. So, at the point in time where tempers are high, that might not be the time to say we must resolve everything here and now. Because both of you, you know, are having a go at each other. Your defenses are up. Nobody's about to, as it were, you know, condescend or allow the other person to have the upper hand. That may not be the best time to say we must settle this matter. Sometimes let the matter be. That's why I talked about you could take a walk. You could excuse yourself from that situation first and wait for tempers to calm down so that you guys can revisit the conversation. That speaks to the when, all right? Knowing when to have that kind of conversation. Now, the conversation proper, what should you be saying? You don't start up that conversation with an attack on your partner, all right? And that's what many people do. You are always behaving like this. You never get it right. You use all those powerful words. And when you come at your partner like that, what you are doing is that you are knocking on the door of defense. They will come out fully defensive. All right? Yeah. So you want to choose your language. You want to rather let them know how their action impacted on you. This is how I felt by what you said. This is what you made me think. This is what your actions, this is the impact your actions had on me. Do you get it? The perspective is different now. And then you're letting them know this so that they understand that if they truly respect or value you, then they should consider using an approach that will not come off this offensive to you. All right? So you inform your partner on how you feel and then speak to the issue, not to your partner. In other words, don't label them as, so for example, your partner speaks to you in a way that you consider rude. You are not telling her that you are a very, very rude person. You don't have home training. What you're saying is, I feel that approach was a rather rude one. I would prefer if you had done it like this, or if you had said it like that. So what you're doing here is you're not just identifying what went wrong, but you're also showing them the healthier alternative to go about it. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. They just attack what somebody is doing that is not right, but you're not even telling them how to go about it. Why do you just assume that they know? What if they don't? Why? Because if they knew what was right in the first place, perhaps they would have done it. But they told the path that they believed was the right way to go, and you find it offensive. So you need to educate them on how you would rather they responded to that situation, what they should rather do, all right? Not just insisting that they were wrong and they did something very bad. Show them how to. It's only if you have done this over and over again and this person is just unrepentant, that's a different conversation.
Okay.
But have you explored the options of peace and resolution first, all right? And then be willing to let go of your opinion or your position sometimes. That's one thing that people don't understand. The fact that you feel right about this point does not mean that your partner is necessarily wrong. Sometimes you need to be able to suspend your own perspective and go and understand the matter from their own perspective. There's a practical way I do this when I'm with a couple. All right. I'll put a big print of the letter 6 on the floor. And then I tell one partner to stand on this side of it and the other to stand on the other side of it. Now, the person on one side, I ask them, what number are you seeing here? The person says it's number 6. And then I ask the person on the other end, what number are you seeing there? The person says it's number 9. The question now is which of them is right and which of them is wrong?
It depends on how you wrote the 6 and the 9.
Well, the main thing is that what one person is
I'm
saying
just looking for
correct.
trouble, Coach M. Don't mind me.
No, I feel you. What one person is looking at is number 6. What the other person is looking at is number 9.
Yeah.
So both of them are correct according to their perspectives. But the only way that matter will be resolved is if any of them will agree to move over to the other side and choose to see it from this person's perspective. Now, when you come over and you are standing where it is obviously 9, you will discover that you would have to be not mentally balanced to still be insisting that
it's a 6.
Well, what you are seeing there is clearly 9. Do you understand? Now you will know that, okay, it's like there's a problem here. It's true that I saw it as 6 there. But looking at it from here, what I'm seeing is 9. Okay, you follow me. Let's go back there. Let's go and look at it. And then you carry the other person to the other side and you discover that both of you now agree that this is 6. You go to the other side, look at it and agree that this is 9. What does that tell you? There is a difference in your perspective, and sometimes that is what you need to fix.
Okay.
Do you get it? So the issue may not always be the issue. The issue may be your interpretation and processing of what the issue is.
Okay.
And that is why this kind of communication should happen. That is the only place you'll be able to learn of each other. You'll be able to see that, it's like it's not my wife that is the problem. Maybe it's just the way I was looking at it. And then she too is saying, okay, the husband is not wrong after all. It's just the way I too was looking at it. So when you are able to now adopt each other's positions, then you discover that you're looking at the same thing. But you see, all this grammar I'm speaking, people are not patient enough. People are not patient enough to want to solve the issue. They rather want to be heard. They rather want to be right. They rather want to win the argument.
Or it could be, Coach, do you think? Or could it be that it's not because they don't want to solve the issue? It could just be that based off of, some of the things which we always talk about, their emotional maturity, their intelligence and all of that to handle such issues. It could just be that it is not something that they can take on by themselves. It could be that it is something that requires a middleman to be able to get each person to hear the other person out. That's what I'm thinking, honestly, when it comes to this. Because sometimes it's not because couples are not trying. It's not that they're not trying. It's just that they just can't get the other person to see. And, I've seen instances where I've experienced instances where when this person is trying so hard to make, to do all these things that you talked about, and the other person is also trying so hard, because they're not able to reach that middle ground, then what you have is that the couple sort of retreat into their own shells, and then they are stonewalling, or they sweep it under the rug. So I think in instances like this, where people are genuine and honest about wanting to get to that point and they're unable to do it, is when they just say, look, we need a third party to get into this. And I know that third party conversation is another difficult one. I wouldn't say the average African man, but there are people who just believe that anything that we cannot resolve by ourselves, is not another person that will come and resolve it for us. And I think that's the reason why sometimes these conflicts persist. It's just that they are trying, each person is trying on their own end, but because they don't have that arbiter, the person who is in the middle, to say, okay, I hear what you're saying, and then they'll translate it in the way that the other person would hear and understand, then you just have it, swept under the rug, stewing for another time when something else would trigger it up again. And then, yes, I think that might be another issue we have.
Yes, you were spot on that. I don't even think I need to speak to that. You already did justice to it, yeah.
Okay, so beyond communication, what other point can we use? Because clearly, we're going to come back to this, and hopefully we can come back to it with more contextual examples. But beyond communication, what else is a tool for conflict resolution within?
Okay. So the state of your heart is very important. Are you willing to forgive? Are you willing to apologize if you have to? That's very key. All right. So if you're willing to forgive, then you know that, okay, at some point I have to just forgive my partner, right? And not seek revenge, and not try to set a trap in the front to get even with them, right? And then I talked about being ready to apologize if you have to, because like I said, ultimately the goal is peace. Now, beyond all of that, there's something I also tell married people, and it's the concept of having a marital vision. What is the big picture that you guys are working with?
As a unit.
That as a unit, if you know that there is a lot at stake for us in the future, you will not be in a hurry to destroy what you have going. If you know that together we're pursuing this big thing, and we will find fulfillment in this because we came together to agree on what we want to do with ourselves. That big picture thinking, it can help you to know that if I keep dragging this weight along with me, it won't help me to achieve this goal. And then that would even help you to be willing to drop it quicker, And then the other point you mentioned, seeking professional help. That's what I'll call third party. I'd rather use the word professional help. Because if you go and seek advice from your mother or your father, that one might not be quite helpful. Because
if they are not professionals.
If they are not professional.
They could be professional married couples now. So
no, they don't have the mark. No, forget that though. It's not by being married for years. A lot of people are dysfunctionally married.
Oh.
If you seek the opinion, you will get dysfunction as your solution. So you want people who can be objective. People who have the maturity to speak to the situation without choosing sides, all right, and who understand context. And then people that both of you can listen to, at least both of you will submit to this person's wisdom. Not that maybe husband will go and call his oga. The wife will say, that useless man. I beg you down, if I go and look for somebody else that will talk to me, not this one where wife self not they listen to her.
Oh, ouch.
There's problem there. So it has to be someone, the third party has to be one that both of you agree to submit to, right? So that we're going to take, if we cannot seem to agree within ourselves, then we have to take this person's submissions as our reference, right? So those are some other ways to go around resolving conflict. Again, if your heart is set out to resolve, then you look for the solution and the methods to resolve it. But if it is revenge you're looking for, if it's vengeance you're looking for, then all of this grammar I'm speaking does not apply to you.
Doesn't apply to you.
That you want to do.
I want to take you back just a step, Coach. Before you talked about communication, you also mentioned a few other things. Before you talked about professional help, there was a point you raised there about another possible way. I want to take us back there. I don't know if you can bring that up.
Was it Was it when I talked about big picture thinking?
Yes. So what for example would a marital vision look like for a couple? If you could just give us examples, because I heard you say that and I was trying to process it. I'm like, I know the power of moving together as a unit and thinking as a unit, but what would an entire vision look like for a couple that would make them want to set aside grievances and the likes and move on for that bigger picture? Just give us a couple of examples if you can.
Beautiful question. That's the answer to that question, It's a paid session. It's a seriously paid session.
Okay, give us one example.
No, I will give you an example, but I just want to let you know that it is what you're asking for.
Is money.
Conversation.
I hear you. Give us an example, because I don't know that a lot of people thinking that like. That's why I thought you should just help.
Yeah, so let me give you an example, right? Sometime in 1996, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, the scandal, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Cheating scandal, right?
Yes.
That could have been a good reason for Hillary to say, you know what?
I'm done with
I'm not
you.
marrying you again. You embarrassed me. But somewhere in their family goals was the fact that he was going to be president, and somewhere down the line, she too was going to be president. It was something they had discussed.
He was president at the time already when that scandal happened.
He was already president. But I'm saying that before he became president, they had planned that somewhere in this their professional political practice, he will be president. Somewhere down the line, she too would also run for president. Do you get it? And they were going to make history as the real power couple, where the husband was president and later wife became president, if that worked. Do you get it? Now, that's an example of a family vision. We know that we are cooking something in the future. We know that we are committed to a particular narrative that we want to have about our lives and our family. We know that there is a legacy that we are building, right? So when something comes that if you choose to go the path of separation, it will destroy that legacy that both of you have so passionately committed to, then you will agree to yourselves that nothing will be that deep to take us away from this path. Because on this path is that fulfillment that we're looking for. I don't know if you get that example.
Wow. I mean, I do, but then I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that the reason, for example, if that was the idea behind, the Clintons at the time, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that a woman that will stay in the way Hillary stayed, or the way Hillary stayed through all of that national and international embarrassment, was doing it. I'm not even going to say she was doing it for the children now, because, looking at it, years after and all of that, we don't really hear the children, right? We hear about Hillary. And I'm just going to play devil's advocate and say she stayed because she felt she had more to lose. The name that would have put her on that path, since her husband was already president, was the Clinton name. So will I be wrong if I say that she stayed because she had more to lose, not necessarily because they as a couple had that vision? Again, like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I get you, which is a good question, a valid one. But, I even got that response off of an interview she granted some time back. I didn't prepare for that part. I would have properly dug it out and, quoted her, right? But the point was, it was based off something she said that, they had that outlook on life, right? So I said that answer based off of what she said.
Okay.
Right? Not
that they had it, not necessarily her own.
They had that.
Okay.
You said?
Not necessarily. Okay. I get you. I get you.
Yeah. So that was why I used that example.
Okay.
Right. So my point is, there could be something that you as a couple are so passionately committed to, and you know that going separate ways may affect the level of fulfillment you desire.
Okay. Coach, when it comes back on, we'll just bring the conversation to a close because it's already 11:21, and that means we're way past our time. We're supposed to be on the late night request show right now, but I believe it's been time well spent. The one thing that is clear is that we are definitely going to see how we can come back to this conversation next week with a little more context for every well, I can't say every, for most of the solutions that we're trying to prefer when it comes to conflict resolution. I think that will help people. I am stuck on this marital vision thing. I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to go and read about it because, in the day and time that we are right now, where the devil is working overtime to break down the institution of marriage and every good thing that it stands for. And really and truly, when I'm talking about everything the institution stands for, my priority with these things is usually children. But we found that when people decide even to stay for the children, if they are broken in that situation, it doesn't really help the children. So we must talk about how to resolve conflict in these times, right? And if there is anything from all of this conversation that we've had today that I would take away, is this marital vision thing, because that, if really and truly a couple can work towards it, will be the one thing that will make it, can't even say easier. It will make it that much more tolerable for people to look past some things that happen in their homes. But there's a lot that is happening now, so much. So we would have to come back with this conversation. Coach, if you can just wrap it up for us in the next 2 minutes, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I mean, it's been quite intense and all over the place. But I want to wrap it up like this.
Okay.
Which is the fact that people should understand that what we're talking about is conflict resolution, not conflict escalation. Not what should I do when I am angry. If the goal at the back of the couple's mind is to resolve conflict, then my admonition is go and learn how to go about it. While you're learning that, also learn how to regulate and control your emotions so that they don't have the better of you when that time comes.
Okay.
While you're learning that, please do well to encourage your partner to also go and be learning it so that it'll be easy for both of you. Let one person not frustrate the other one out of their their patience and all the decorum they're trying to have.
Yeah.
But if what is the goal of that union is to resolve conflict, then learn how to do it so that when the time comes, you're able to apply it.
Okay.
That will be my close. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach M. We will leave it here for today and pick it up again next week if we have not communicated clearly enough. Then we will find cause to come back to it, probably with some examples. But sometimes, with these things, we can only keep speaking generally unless we have these particular contextual cases. I see the phone is ringing. We did not take calls, did we? Probably took one, but then we're talking about something else. We have to go on a break, though, so I will find out from Coach if he's willing to stay on to take any calls or contributions. See if we give it another 5 minutes after the break. If not, we say bye to Coach M for now.
How long is it?
It's not long, I don't think it's up to 3 minutes. So,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Coach will be here. Let's take this break.
It's fresh. It's the H45, the all-new Heineken 45CL.
This is Nigeria Info.